Welcome back, everyone. Today we're diving deep into a film that's well, it's not your typical space adventure. We're talking about Andrei Tarkovsky's Solaris.
Right, Solaris, yeah. It's definitely not about spaceships and laser beams, though it is set in space. It's more about, well, inner space, the depths of the human psyche.
Exactly. We're going to explore how this film uses science fiction to delve into some pretty complex themes like memory, guilt, and even what it means to be truly free.
And the really fascinating thing is how Solaris, this sentient planet, acts as a mirror, kind of reflecting the character's deepest fears and desires.
Right. We're going to unpack that whole concept, how Solaris materializes people from the characters' pasts, and what that means for their psychological journeys. Plus, we'll get into how the film bends our perception of time, blurs the lines between reality and illusion, and uses isolation in space as a metaphor for our own internal struggles.
And of course, we can't talk about Solaris without mentioning the incredible visuals and the haunting score.
Absolutely. So to kick things off, let's talk about Solaris itself. This planet, it's not just some lifeless rock floating in space, right?
Definitely not. It's this sentient being capable of interacting with the human mind in ways we can barely even imagine.
Okay, so Solaris has this uncanny ability to materialize people from the characters' pasts, like actual physical beings. But they're not exactly who they seem, are they?
No, it's not like bringing back ghosts or anything. It's more like Solaris is tapping into their subconscious, bringing to life figures that represent their deepest regrets, their unresolved traumas, their hidden desires, all that messy stuff we try to bury deep down.
That's what makes psychologist Chris Kelvin's journey so fascinating. He goes to the space station orbiting Solaris to investigate some weird happenings, and bam, he's face to face with his deceased wife, Rhea. But she's been brought back to life by Solaris. Talk about a psychological mind trip.
Oh, it's a brilliant setup. Kelvin, this man of science, all logic and reason, suddenly thrown into a situation that completely defies explanation.
And the film really plays with our sense of what's real and what's not. Are these manifestations real physical beings? Are they just figments of the characters' imaginations? It's never quite clear.
And then there's how the film handles time. It's not this neat linear progression. Past and present are all tangled up. Memories intrude on the present moment. And the characters, they're constantly struggling with the weight of their past actions.
It's like the past isn't really gone. It's right there with them, influencing everything.
Yeah.
Can you give us a specific example of how this whole time thing plays out in the film?
Well, think about when Kelvin first sees Rhea. It's not a ghostly figure or anything. She's alive, breathing, has all of Rhea's memories and emotions, even physical scars.
Oh, that's heavy.
But here's the thing. She knows she's not the original Rhea, and that just adds this whole other layer of complexity to their interactions.
Wow. So it's not just about seeing his dead wife again.
Yeah.
It's about Kelvin confronting his guilt over her death, all those unresolved issues that have been haunting him. It's like Solaris is giving him a second chance, but it's also putting him on trial for his past. Heavy stuff.
Exactly. And, makes you question everything. What does it even mean to be human? What defines our identity? Is it our memories, our bodies, or something else entirely?
Now, we've been talking about Solaris as this powerful entity that can tap into our deepest fears and desires. But where does science fit into all of this? The film seems to be juxtaposing scientific inquiry with these really personal, emotional experiences. How do those two things come together?
That's one of the most interesting things about the film. At first, the scientists on the station, they try to study Solaris, analyze it like they would any scientific phenomenon. But Solaris, it just defies their attempts at objective observation.
So it's like Solaris is this giant cosmic force saying, hey, your little human need to control and define everything. Yeah, that's not going to work here.
Yeah, pretty much. It pushes them to confront the limits of science, suggesting there are aspects of reality, especially when it comes to the human soul, that just can't be explained through logic and reason alone.
So it's not just about the science, it's about acknowledging there's a whole lot more out there that we don't understand. And maybe that's okay.
Exactly. And it's through this clash between science and the inexplicable, between logic and emotion, that Solaris really starts to unpack these deeper themes about what it means to be human, about our search for meaning, and ultimately about what it means to be free.
This is getting really deep.
Yeah.
It's like Solaris is holding up a mirror, not just to the characters, but to all of us, forcing us to confront our own limitations and maybe even embrace the mystery of existence. It's incredible how Solaris uses these manifestations to reveal the characters' pasts, but it's not just about that, right? It's like it's forcing them to confront these deep anxieties, these hidden desires they might not even be aware of.
Yeah, each character, each one of them encounters a manifestation that represents some unresolved issue, some hidden part of themselves. It's like Solaris is peeling back the layers, exposing them, making them deal with the complexity of their own being. It's pretty intense.
It really makes you think, if I were in that situation, what would Solaris bring to life from my past? What would I have to face?
Right. Chilling thought, isn't it? It just shows how powerful this film is. It's not just entertaining, it really makes you look inward. It's like a psychological exploration of what it means to be human. A mirror, reflecting our own struggles and the things we carry from our past.
And the setting, this space station, it's so isolated, millions of miles from Earth, this sterile, artificial environment. It kind of amplifies that sense of isolation, don't you think? Being trapped with your deepest fears and desires, no escape.
Oh, absolutely. The vastness of space, it becomes a metaphor for what's happening inside the characters. They're surrounded by this infinite expanse, but they're also trapped within their own minds, haunted by their pasts. There's nowhere to hide.
Speaking of haunted, the film's score really adds to that feeling of unease, doesn't it? It's so haunting, ethereal.
Yeah, the music is key to creating that atmosphere. Cliff Martinez, the composer, he uses these ambient electronic sounds, but also these melancholic piano melodies, and it just gets under your skin. It's a score that stays with you.
And visually, the film is just stunning. Tarkovsky's use of light and shadow, the long, contemplative shots, the way he frames the characters within this vast, unknowable space, it's also deliberate.
Exactly. His visual style is just as important as the ideas the film explores. He creates these beautiful, almost painterly compositions. It's like he's drawing you into this world of Solaris, inviting you to think about the mysteries it presents.
We've talked a lot about the psychological and philosophical stuff, but we should also talk about Solaris as a science fiction film.
Oh yeah, definitely. It's a prime example of what they call cerebral science fiction. It's more about thought-provoking themes and ideas than, action and explosions. It really challenges you to think critically about reality, about the limits of our understanding, about what it means to encounter something truly alien.
And it does all that while being visually stunning and emotionally resonant. It sticks with you. It's not just a film, it's an experience, a journey into the unknown.
And that brings us to the question of freedom. What does it even mean to be free when you're faced with such overwhelming forces? Is it about breaking free from the past? Is it about accepting our limitations? Or is it something else entirely, something that maybe Solaris offers, but at a price? It's complicated.
It seems like the film is saying freedom could be a choice to let go of control, to surrender to the unknown. But that's terrifying, especially for people who cling to logic and reason.
You see that struggle with the scientists on the station. They're trained to observe, analyze, control. But Solaris, it defies all that. It represents everything we can't comprehend and maybe shouldn't try to.
But for Kelvin, who's had to confront his past, his own limitations, surrendering to Solaris, to the mystery of it all, maybe that's the only way he can find some kind of redemption. It's like a paradox, isn't it? Freedom through surrender. Acceptance through letting go.
Exactly. It's a fascinating paradox.
It makes you wonder if true freedom isn't about conquering the unknown, but about embracing it, about accepting that there are things we may never fully understand.
Right. Solaris challenges us to think beyond our human perspective. It's saying true knowledge, true understanding requires us to see things in a more holistic way, to acknowledge this interconnectedness of everything. It's pretty mind-blowing when you think about it.
So as we continue exploring Solaris, let's keep this idea of freedom in mind. How do the characters' choices, their actions, reflect their own understanding of what it means to be free? And what is the film ultimately saying about the possibility of achieving true freedom in a universe that's so vast and unknowable?
These are all great questions to consider. And remember, this isn't just us talking at you. We want to hear your thoughts, too. What resonates with you? What questions are you left with? Let's keep this debate going.
Solaris, man, what a trip, right?
Yeah.
It really gets you thinking about some deep stuff, from the inner workings of our minds to the vastness of the cosmos. It's a lot to take in.
And it's not just the ideas, right? The way Tarkovsky uses visuals and sound, it's just masterful. We talked about it a bit, but let's dig a little deeper into how he uses those cinematic tools to really bring those themes to life.
Yeah, let's talk visuals first. What are some of the things that really stand out to you?
Well, the use of light and shadow is incredible. Think about the space station. It's often bathed in this cold, sterile light, very clinical, which kind of reflects the scientific approach the characters have at the beginning, trying to understand Solaris through observation and analysis.
But then there are these moments of, intense color, warmth, like when Kelvin is with Rhea,
Hmm.
or during those Solaris visions.
Exactly. It's like Solaris is injecting this vibrancy, this emotional depth into this otherwise bleak setting. The use of color becomes almost symbolic, highlighting the contrast between that world of science and the raw power of human experience.
And the music, oh man, the music, it's so haunting and ethereal, like something out of this world. It really adds to the unsettling atmosphere of the film.
Oh, absolutely. The soundtrack, it's by Cliff Martinez. It's brilliant. He blends these ambient electronic soundscapes with these melancholic piano melodies, and it gets under your skin, you know. It really does.
It's like the music itself is another character, adding this whole other layer of emotion to the story. It creates this incredible atmosphere, this feeling of, I don't know, being suspended in time and space, lost in this world that's beautiful and terrifying at the same time.
And speaking of suspended, the pacing of the film is so important too. It's slow, deliberate, almost meditative at times.
Yeah, it forces you to slow down, to really absorb everything, to think about those big questions the film raises.
Exactly. It encourages you to engage with the film on multiple levels, emotionally, intellectually. So thinking about everything we discussed, the visuals, the music, the themes, what are some of the things that have really resonated with you? What are you taking away from Solaris?
We've covered a lot of ground, the psychological impact of those manifestations, the ethical questions about our relationship with the unknown. What stands out to you? What are you left pondering after this deep dive?
We'd love to hear your thoughts on Solaris. It's a film that stays with you. So until next time, keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep diving deep.